What's up, guys, and welcome to an extended episode of Subnautica. Normally, I keep these around 5 minutes because a lot of the gameplay is just gathering materials, which is, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually really fun when you're playing it. It's one of those games where it's mostly fun to play and a lot less fun to watch in extended sessions. So I realized early on that the way I was going to approach these episodes was going to be really short, heavily edited segments that really just showcased some of the areas that I thought looked the most interesting, because there's not a whole lot of action in this game. It's not a action-packed game. There's no clearing out levels or anything like that, so it's more about the exploration aspects and going into these crazy foreign areas where you just have no idea what to expect. At least that's how I approach the game primarily. So, but for this one, we're doing a lap around the base. We're trying to map out the surrounding area, and our primary objective by doing so is, really to figure out where all the best resources are, figure out where all the areas of interest lie. And even though I have gathered a lot of really basic materials throughout the game, up to this point, it's still really important for me to continue to pick up a lot of basics like copper, like titanium, and even some of the stuff that I would consider more middle tier, like lithium, which is really important for making certain power-oriented objects. Oh yeah, here's me just grabbing a spadefish for good measure here, just to stay healthy. One of the main reasons why I also decided to locate my expansion here was because of the spadefish that are just here in abundance, man. Those things are absolutely one of Subnautica's luxuries, because you don't have to prepare them at all, whereas in order to consume other fish, you can eat other fish raw. I should clarify, you can eat other fish raw, but it will make you pay the cost heavily in hydration penalties. So yeah, whereas spadefish, there's no hydration penalty for eating them raw. You can actually gain a little bit of hydration. But this is actually a really cool little side area I found that was just right by the base. Lots of scrap metal just laying around, actually falling off the cliffside. And this scrap metal will convert into titanium at the crafting station. So titanium being one of the primary materials in the game, used in base building and in a lot of the little gadgets that you make. It's nice to find an area that's abundant in titanium. Also, a lot of that and copper and some of our base materials as well on these rock formations here. And because we just built an expansion, we just went through a whole lot of those basic materials. there goes some of that scrap metal. But yeah, we just went through a whole bunch of some of the basics. So the way that I like to play, at least let me clarify, the way I'm playing the game in this video and at this stage in my save is I have decided to really primarily make the Cyclops my home base. I have several lockers on board that thing now, and they are, well, right now they're primarily empty. I have them really organized. I might show you one day, but I'm really OCD in these games. I really like to be organized. I absolutely cannot stand cluttered inventory. I hate when I let my inventory get cluttered in games like this. Oh, it's a fucking terrible feeling. But anyway, a couple of those lockers are empty, so the way that I'm really liking to play is I'm liking to have those lockers mostly filled up with basics. So if I do happen upon an area that I would like to expand in, I've got some of the basics there, so I can just get out, load my backpack up with the stuff that I need, and start building on the spot without having to, try to remember where it is or set a beacon, and come back later. That's just the way I'm approaching this stuff. And I must have really needed a lot of the basics, and I must have really wanted to demo this because not only is this kind of a seamless transition, and that was really one of the primary objectives with this video, right, is just this is a detailed mapping of the surrounding area, the areas of interest that are just on the outside. Now there's actually quite a few deep cave systems in this area that I'm saving for another video because they're kind of a different animal entirely. But this is just all the stuff that's around the base. And so I thought this was a really interesting transition here. I'm gathering some of the basics along that rock face, and I happen upon this little area here. Never seen any of this stuff in the game until this point in the video. So I'm really intrigued, right? All of a sudden I'm like, okay, maybe I should go even slower. Maybe I should be really cautious of that potential threat looming. But in the end, I decided that this was probably an area, or maybe to be a little bit more detailed, maybe this is like the type of growths you're going to see in certain areas of the game that will eventually have more stuff in them, more maybe perhaps items of interest to pick up, because I did some pretty thorough investigations of this area, and there wasn't really anything to do out here. There wasn't anything to collect. There weren't any areas to investigate further. So a little bit disappointed with that, but I can only assume that, and here's another reason why I think that that's probably just an area that wasn't fully developed at this point, like a lot of the game, honestly. This is, once again, upper right hand corner, early development build, so it shows. And here's another reason. First of all, the jump scares in this game from things banging up against the side of the sea moth unexpectedly are pretty real, and I've gotten quite a few jump scares in this game. I normally don't get jump scared in games, but this one will do it to me in a serious way and often. But anyway, you may have noticed over there to the right, the camera isn't really facing in that direction now. I may have decided not really to just investigate too hard over there, because I've run into several areas in the game that are like that. And over to the right there was just a wide open space with nothing in it, just sand. That's basically the end of the world, so to speak. That's the edge of the map. So not really sure if how much more is going to be developed on all sides, but I will tell you that you get a better look at it there. You can go quite far into that sand, so I really want to say, you can go full speed, and what I mean by that is you can probably go full speed in the sea moth for a couple minutes before actually being stopped by an invisible wall. So I do want to say that they're going to be adding stuff there, and I've gone to all of the corners of the map, and it's like that on every corner, so I can only assume that they're going to add more at some point. But I got out a few times here to investigate some of the coral, because there are actually different types of coral chunks that you can harvest with the knife. So I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any different type of chunk out here that I hadn't seen before. And those little serpent guys are so sneakily hidden. Like, they really blend in with the coral. That time I was just really well prepared for them. As soon as I saw them, boom, like, nope, just to hide right behind the wall. But yeah, you gotta watch out for those guys for sure. They'll give you jump scares too. They don't make any noise whatsoever, and they can hit you from a really long distance. So definitely have to watch out for those guys. But here's basically our new mascot here at the base. He was really quiet this time. Normally when this guy is nearby, he's kind of noisy. But we're out of time. I'll see you on the next one, guys.